Coming up on today's show.
Real organizing for real life is kind of a shift in thought processes.
And it wouldn't be a topic with a professional organizer without an acronym anyway. So, I mean,
How about that?
How are we going to remember all these things? Well, I have that for you.
There's no magic wand when it comes to organizing. We have to make choices. So you can look at your regular old closet and you can wish for a big walk-in closet that holds all this stuff, but that's not realistic and that's not going to get you organized.
Real organizing for real life today on Keeping You Organized. Well, hello, welcome to Keeping You Organized. Today we're going to get real with you. We are going to really get organized. And if you're a real person, as in if you're not a bot or someone like that, we're going to help you today. We're going to bring on Amy Tokus, freshly organized. Amy, welcome back to Keeping You Organized.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Well, I like this topic because I think a few weeks ago we had on our Facebook show, we were talking about a podcast we did with you, a couple of years ago where we talked about those magazines, that you see that look perfect, but, no one could actually live in a space like that. I don't know if that's what we're going to talk about today, because that's what I thought about real life, How about for the rest of us who actually have to live in a house,
Right. And that's going to be part of what we talk about today. Yes,
awesome.
Definitely.
Well, give us the background on this concept and why we're talking about it today.
Well, real organizing for real life is kind of a shift in thought processes for you. So people can look at it and say, okay, real. R is I got to keep it realistic. E stands for empower. A is authentic, and L is livable. So if I do all those checks, then I'm going to be pretty successful in being organized and feeling balanced in my life.
And it wouldn't be a topic with a professional organizer without an acronym anyway. So, I mean,
How about that?
How are we going to remember all these things? Well, I have that for you. So let's start off with the R then.
Okay, R, realistic. Okay, so this is about being realistic with your time and your space. Time, we all sometimes we don't understand time. So it's about estimating how long tasks take and then measuring time, actually timing ourselves. So we're more realistic about what is really happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
here's an example. Yeah. Like, I have many examples of this because I tend to overestimate when I do stuff. So I will say, this task that I don't like to do takes me longer than when it does. So that makes me procrastinate it. It used to be folding laundry. I don't like to fold laundry. So I would look at a laundry basket and I would say, you know what? I don't have time to fold that. It's going to take me a half an hour.
Right.
And then when I sat down and actually timed that activity, it only took me 5 minutes. And so when I had that realistic number, it was a bit of a game changer in my head.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So being realistic about time and then being realistic about your space. There's no magic wand when it comes to organizing. We have to make choices. So you can look at your regular old closet and you can wish for a big walk-in closet that holds all this stuff, but that's not realistic and that's not going to get you organized. You have to define your spaces and then align your choices with that definition.
Right. When we talk about the realism of time, I just have to use my personal example of having to temporarily live in another place because we had a fire in our house.
Right.
And this place is about, let's just say, 7 minutes farther away from work than my other place. And what I found myself in the beginning doing was I was driving to work and getting late. I was like, well, what's going on here? I'm so used to this commute. Then dawned on me, you are farther away. Okay. So you have to leave earlier now than you left before. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That is a perfect example. I've done that. We moved a year and a half ago, and the exact same thing happened to me, except for I thought I was closer. So I was saying, it's not going to take me as long.
Mm.
And I was a little closer, but I wasn't as close as I thought I was. Right. So I was constantly running late for stuff. Like, I got to time this.
Well, and the flip side of that is that we live closer to the downtown area of the city. So we're getting there early on all these things that we normally leave. It normally takes us 25 minutes. Now we're there in 15 minutes. Like, wait a minute, how did that happen?
Right.
So
yeah.
It just taking into account, and how do you help estimate what the right amount of time? You're talking about the laundry or whatever. How do you kind of come up with that benchmark time?
You just have to practice.
Okay.
So really and seriously, you have to be very intentional and say, okay, I'm going to estimate it takes me 10 minutes to do this drive. I'm going to leave. And then you time yourself and see if it takes 10 minutes. Right. I'm going to estimate that it takes me 20 minutes to fold this load of laundry. And you actually time yourself and you see how close you are. And just practicing over and over will set you up to be better at estimating.
Yeah. And you want to probably account for a little bit of margin. Like what happens if you hit a red light or, you can't be down to the last minute,
Right. Totally. And, you think of laundry, there could be a fitted sheet in there that's going to take you 10 minutes alone to fold. Mm-hmm. So if you don't account, do have to account for stuff like that, but you can at least get a little bit of a baseline and say, this is where I'm at.
That's actually, you just brought up, this would be a great topic for another show, is how to fold a fitted sheet. Mine always end up in a ball. I don't know what happens with those, but how do they get those in that package in the beginning? They must have some kind. I don't know. It's a tough one.
I don't know how to. You're asking the wrong person for that podcast.
All right. Well, let's look at. We're going to move on to the letter E now. So of real.
All right. E is for empower.
Okay.
And this is really about having good boundaries and empowering yourself to keep those boundaries. In a house, things can take over and other people can take over spaces. A good example would be toys. Kids can have toys through the whole house, and you have to empower yourself to set boundaries and follow through with those boundaries. So they can have a playroom or they can have toys in their bedroom. You can decide what the boundaries are, but it's about you having boundaries. Books would be a really good example. Stuffed animals, kids with stuffed animals, having a boundary of here's a shelf for your stuffed animals. If you have more than that, then you have to make a decision on what stays and what goes. The stuffed animals can't take over the whole house.
Now, I know you had girls, and so did I, and there's, you remember the bed with I don't know how many, there had to be 30 stuffed animals. Like, how do you keep track of all these,
Right. Oh, yeah. And they do.
yeah, they do. But, it's interesting. While you're talking about boundaries, I'm thinking about, we all, we live in a home that has, fences or yard, you have your lot, and you're not leaving your stuff in your neighbor's yard. Right. So why can't you apply that to your own house? Like, everything belongs in some area or some boundary. So I think that's a really, really good thing.
Right. And it's empowering yourself to stand up to that and let your family know that they can't take over the house, that the house is a family place and everybody has places for their stuff and you can give them their places. And then it just can't be all over the house.
Right. Yeah. It is amazing how with kids too, they really like their rooms and their domain, let's say, because everything inside that four walls, that's my space. Don't mess with me on that. But
Right.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say the other piece of empower is about the time. All of this applies to time and space and being able to say no and empowering yourself to have boundaries on your time too.
Awesome. Well, that brings up the
Yeah.
perfect example of a boundary of this show. We have to take a quick break.
I
So,
know. Here we go.
and we'll be back in a moment because we're not done yet. We're only through the R and E of the real, but
Right.
so we'll be back in just a moment. We're talking about real organizing for real life with Amy Tokus, and we will be right back.
The Organized Home Office from myorganized.life. When you work from home, your workspace doesn't have to be bland and boring. Brighten up your home office with organizing solutions from myorganized.life. It's just for you. myorganized.life. myorganized.life.
We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about real organizing for real life, going through the acronym of REAL with Amy Togus from Freshly Organized. And Amy, so before the break, we hit the R and the E of REAL. We got this acronym. You got to have an acronym, right?
Right.
Let's,
It helps.
Yeah, it does. It helps remember its boundaries too for that. So anyway,
Right.
So let's move on to the A of REAL.
Okay. The A is being authentic. And it's about you defining yourself, you defining your space. And this is, we were talking about earlier about magazines, and don't compare yourself to magazines. Don't compare yourself to other people. Be authentic to you. Learning to say no is part of that, because that's defining yourself and not letting other people make decisions that aren't authentically aligned with who you are.
Right. Yeah. And authentic is kind of like a synonym for real too. And I think so often people get into this, I think with social media these days, and people see all, other people's lifestyles, and I've got to have
Right.
that or do that. And, we're all different, right?
Yes.
So we're probably going to
Yes.
have different domains and different settings that we're going to be in and treat things differently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people will ask me questions about, what's the best way to organize my clothes? And I'm like, well, that depends on who's walking in and picking out the outfit, because, some people will approach it, I need something long sleeved. Another person will approach it, I need something blue. So if you approach it by style, then organize it by style. If you approach it by color, organize it by color. There's so many ways, and it depends on your thought process. And that's about staying authentic to you.
Right, right. Yeah, I like to organize by what did I wear yesterday, not wear yesterday. So I kind of rotate it. Whatever
Right.
I do, I hang it up on this end, and then I pick something from the other end, and I just keep moving it around.
You
Kinda
got
like-
yesterday and today. You're covered.
That's about it. That's about it. Okay, so now
love it.
are we down to the L now?
We're down to the L, and this
Okay.
is one of my favorites, because this is about making spaces livable. And this is, this just kind of wraps up everything. It's realistic, it's empowering, it's authentic, it's easy to maintain. It's about doing fewer steps, making sure it's aligned with your natural tendencies, and just keeping it simple.
That's it. Keeping it simple. I mean,
Yeah.
Just give me an example of what something that is livable, but maybe is not, super exciting.
Right. Well, here's a perfect example. This would be livable.
Okay.
Or this would be not livable. Let's start with that first. We have a coat closet in the entryway, and this happened to me when I had, my young children. They're a little older now, but when they were little, I used to expect them to open the door to the coat closet, get a hanger off the rod, put their coat on the hanger, hang the coat up on the rod, then close the closet door. That's what I expected of them with their little coats. Okay. Well, what I learned was that's a lot of steps for someone, and that doesn't make it simple. My approach after that was to put a hook on the wall. It was a one-step process. They just put their little coat on the hook and walk away. We had way more success, and it was much easier to maintain by simplifying that process.
Yeah. It's interesting in our new apartment, which we're only going to be in for a few months, but we've always had this thing about where to put the keys, and we used to put them in a drawer kind of by the entry at our old house. But here, I mean, we're living in about a third of the space we have. So we decided, just for the heck of it, I think we heard this on one of our podcasts or something from somebody, we put some command hooks inside the closet where we hang our keys. And we're loving it. Now, once in a while, I feel I'm looking for my keys in that way. It's because I haven't got the habit yet of doing it. But it's very doable. You're walking in, your keys are in your hand. You're ready to take your coat off before you do it. You just put it on that command hook, and then you put your coat away. So hopefully, when we go back into the other house, we'll implement some kind of, and it'll be a habit by then too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, these are
keep
great.
it easy.
Yeah, keep it easy. I think that's, people get stressed out because they feel like they have to, achieve some, good housekeeping kind of, standard. And really, some of those things, simply like a hook, all I was thinking about when you're talking about having the kid come in, put it on a hanger, they just throw them on the ground.
Oh, totally.
But, it's not that big.
Sometimes you might be lucky enough that they throw it in the closet. They open the door and throw it in the closet, or they might get it on the hanger and hang it up, but they will never close that closet door.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, these are great tips. And before we go, why don't you tell people kind of what you're up to these days, what kind of services you provide, and how people can get a hold of you?
You can find us at freshlyorganized.com. We have a whole team of organizers here in Omaha, and we're helping people in Omaha. We're helping people virtually. We're doing speaking engagements and productivity. We're kind of doing it all.
Well, maybe if Warren Buffett is watching, he could, hire you or something. I mean, that'd be a nice account to have, but evidently he lives in the same house he's lived in for 50 years. I bet there's some clutter in there. What do you think?
Yeah.
Chances are.
I don't know. He has a lot of people helping him, so he's probably
does.
in pretty good shape.
All right, great. Well, Amy, thank you so much for today. We'll, I'm sure, have you back again. Maybe we'll have again, maybe you can do some research. There's 2 topics. So now I want to know how to fold a fitted sheet. Other thing that I would love.
I do not want to come back for that.
Yeah. Well, here's $1 million idea for some organizer out there is how to organize Tupperware and Tupperware tops. Because we've tried it all, and there's got to be some way to. I mean, you're always because you always find the Tupperware container you want, but you can't find the right lid, and they're all jammed in there, and you have to pull them all out. And someone's got to come up with a system for that. They could make $1 million. I guarantee you. But anyway, well, we'll talk to you again on another show. I'm sure there's always more organizing to learn from you.
All right. Thanks, John.
Great. Well, there you have it, folks. There is a real way to get organized for a real life. And a real life also includes coming back next time for our next Keeping You Organized.